You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button.
The really disappointing news on Tuesday for LSU is that Dwight McGlothern has entered the transfer portal. Matt Zenitz of On3 Sports was the first to report it. McGlothern hasn't come out and said it, hasn't confirmed it, but if your name's in the portal, you're in the portal. There's no way around it. This one is terrible news. Dwight McGlothern is supposed to be next for LSU. And, man, if you look throughout the years, LSU has always had the next guy at cornerback. They've always had whoever was next. Even if you go back to Patrick Peterson or, from Patrick Peterson to Morris Claiborne to Thorold Simon to guys like Tre'Davious White and Dante Jackson and Christian Fulton and Derek Stingley and Elias Ricks and Dwight McGlothern, you always had the guy that was supposed to be next. Because DBU has just built that pipeline, and they've just continued to just pump talent through that pipeline. And Dwight McGlothern was supposed to be next there for LSU, especially considering what's happened with the exodus of Derek Stingley going to the league and with Elias Ricks transferring out and with Cordale Flott leaving. So you look at where LSU is right now at cornerback, and there's no other way to say it, y'all. They are dangerously thin at that spot. The spot which has become synonymous with LSU, DBU, they are now dangerously thin at cornerback. DBU is going to be tested in a big way in 2022. Stingley, gone. Ricks, portal, Bama. Flott going to the pros. McGlothern, portal. We'll see where he lands. I got some thoughts on that in a second. But your top 4 cornerbacks are gone, which means you're left with 2 guys. You've got Demarius McGee and Raydarius Jones. That's it. That's it. Those are your returning scholarship cornerbacks. Demarius McGee and Raydarius Jones. That's it. Now, you signed Jordan Allen and LaTerrence Welsh in this signing class. But I'm not so sure you're aching to thrust true freshmen out there onto the field right away in big spots. We have talked so much about Brian Kelly's need to use the transfer portal in this cycle. And there is no spot bigger now than cornerback. I would have told you linebacker, offensive line. Well, they already got Miles Frazier on the offensive line. They signed Will Campbell. They signed Emory Jones. They signed Fitzgerald West. They signed Bo Bordelon. You get a bunch of guys back that got experience. They can figure it out because you got numbers on the offensive line. And at linebacker, maybe Mike Jones returns. It's a chance for him to step up. Yes, you're losing Damone Clark and Micah Baskerville, but you got Greg Penn, and you got guys that are scholarship guys that give numbers that just have to take a step up. Could you supplement in the portal? Absolutely. It'd be great if you did. But where you are desperate now, like you don't even have a choice but to go target transfers in the portal, is at cornerback. Because you got 2 guys. That's it. You have 2. And then 2 incoming freshmen. You don't have numbers. Not only do you not have experience or talent, you don't have numbers right now. You like offensive line, maybe you don't have a ton of experience. Maybe you're betting on the come with some of these guys, but you got numbers. You don't at cornerback right now. And look, there's people who mentioned Greg Brooks, who's a Louisiana guy, who's been a starter at Arkansas. Maybe LSU's a front runner for a guy like Greg Brooks. That would be great. UL Lafayette's Mekhi Gardner's in the portal, guy that potentially comes over. Or maybe he goes to Florida to follow Billy Napier. There were some of you who immediately pointed out when McGlothern entered the portal, like, well, let me guess, Bama. He's going to Bama or Georgia. Keep in mind, there's 2 other schools in the SEC that make a lot of sense. One is Texas A&M, because Texas A&M, we know, is doling out NIL cash And McGlothern's from Texas, from Spring, Texas. So it would make sense if he ended up closer to home. The other is Florida. It would make sense if he goes to Florida. Because Corey Raymond's there. And they just lost Kyrie Elam to the draft. Like, he could go to Florida and be Florida's number one cornerback this year and follow the guy who recruited him here in Corey Raymond. So I know there were some that tried to downplay the Raymond news, but this is all part of it. And again, Brian Kelly has full autonomy to hire whoever he wants. I want to be very clear about that. But I said it when Corey left. If you think you're not going to lose players because of that, you're naive. And Ricks, McGlothern, it's part of it. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but it's part of it. It's an undeniable part of that. Man, but I look at McGlothern and look. You just go look at his Twitter. The turnover at LSU has affected him. When Elias Ricks announced his transfer, remember McGlothern went and tweeted Ricks and says we were going to be great together. And then LaTerrence Welsh came from behind and was like, well, let's us go be great together. I love that from LaTerrence Welsh. I don't love McGlothern's no response. When Austin Thomas tweeted his farewell a few days ago, McGlothern tweeted Austin Thomas and said, man, you'll be missed, Aus. I remember when you first offered me my freshman year, you made my dream come true. We have a strong bond. Thank you for everything. This hurts, with a crying emoji or nose blowing crying emoji. Wasn't just Austin Thomas. I mean, there have been other staffers who have been let go, and I'm not talking about on field. I'm talking like recruiting staff and a lot of people in football ops. McGlothern tweeted another one. Said, crazy, we will miss you. Like, go look at his social media. This dude's been emotional. Like, he has not handled the transition well. He has not handled the transition of this coaching staff and this support staff being out well. He hasn't. So this maybe shouldn't come as a tremendous surprise, but man, does it suck. Because that dude is a stud who was the next great one. Started 6 of the 17 games he played. When Stingley went down this year, he stepped in and didn't miss a beat. And that guy was going to be your number one corner next year alongside, with Elias Ricks going. But Ricks and McGlothern looked like they would be an awesome 1-2 punch. And now they're both gone. And Flott's gone. And you are paper thin on numbers. So I don't know where else Brian Kelly's targeting, what other players Brian Kelly's targeting, but that position, undeniable right now, is number one atop the board because you have 2 scholarship cornerbacks currently on your roster. Thank God for the portal. Otherwise, you'd be in a giant world of hurt. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.